Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we pitch some new game ideas, but the concepts are paper thin. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know how sometimes, for whatever reason, a song just gets like in your head, like you wake up in the morning, you throw the sheets off, and you just have like a song that's
Ready for another day.
Yes. Ready to seize the moment, and you just have you just have a song that for whatever reason, maybe you haven't thought about it in years, but it is in your head. And this morning that happened to me, and the song was That Don't Impress Me Much by Shania Twain. Patrick, do you love this song or do you like this song?
I like this song. I don't love this song.
Mm-hmm.
I associate. It is a song that I associate very. It is on the type of radio show and radio station that my mother listens to, and so I have a hard time separating it from my mother. Does that make sense?
I think your mom and I would get along.
I think you would too. She's a lovely woman. But so you had that Don't Impress Me Much in your head. Is it still in your head, or have you?
Yeah, I mean it is a incredibly catchy song, so it's still in my head. Which is why I had to talk to you about it, kind of like the VHS tape in the ring.
Oh, sure. So I die in 7 days or something?
But if it makes you feel any better, I'll die first. Oh, wait, no, because I'm passing it on to you. Oh, phew. Well, sorry about that.
So now I have to pass it on. Well, we've passed it on to the listener now,
That's right.
And I assume that I will not be affected by this. The worst is when you get a song stuck in your head, but you have no lyrics, and then you're like, how do I even look this up?
Oh, yeah.
How do I ever find out what the song is? A couple weeks ago, I got a text from previous guest of the show, Greg Smith, and he said, "Can I send you a file of me singing, and you can tell me what song is stuck in my head?" And I said, "Yes, Greg. Of course. The answer is always yes. He is open invitation. You can do this whenever you want." And so he sent me. Actually, I wonder if I have it. No, it'll take me forever to find it. But he was singing the Kakariko Village music from Ocarina of Time.
I love it.
And so I helped him identify it immediately, and he was forever grateful. If you would like to hear more stories about Greg and music, go listen to our greatest Nintendo music of all time 3-episode arc from the end of last year. It is a good time. Mark, speaking of good times, if people want to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, can they?
Oh, heck yeah, they can. Kind of.
Heck yeah.
A qualified yes.
Yes.
A qualified heck yes.
A qualified heck yes, which is the best kind of heck yes. All you gotta do is write into us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. and give us a mailing address where I can send you my copy as soon as I feel comfortable going into the post office. And then I, include return postage, and you play it for as long as you want. You send it back to me. It doesn't cost you anything. It is the best deal in gaming. The best one.
Unimpeachable.
So that's great. Everyone should participate in that. Something else that people have been participating in, which has been delightful to me, is that it seems that Donkey Kong Country coming to the SNES Switch Online, and so partially that, but mostly our talking about it a couple weeks ago, has driven people back to this Super Nintendo classic. We got listener AV Guerra at Prismo's Pickle on Twitter wrote to us and said, "Hey, I wanted to say that I grew up with Donkey Kong Country and never beat it. In fact, I never made it beyond the first two areas. Aided by the generous help of the rewind function on the Super NES Switch Online, I finally took down that dastardly King K. Rool this past weekend. Seeing that I do have some nostalgia for this game, I can't say that my opinion is fully formed with modern sensibilities, but I really enjoyed the game from start to finish. The secrets feel very rewarding, while the graphics leave something to desired. I still find them charming. On the other hand, I have no prior experience with Donkey Kong Country 2 or 3. I'm very interested in playing them now, and I only hope that they come to the SNES Switch Online soon. If they do, I'll be back here to report my thoughts." Thank you, AV Guevara, for that perspective on Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, it's nice to know that we're not crazy, because I think when we were talking about the game, we, like, we obviously have a lot of love for it, but how does it hold up for people who've never played it before?
Right, and while that listener doesn't fall into the camp, the true pure camp of having never played it before, we also got an email from Matt. Matt writes, "Hey guys, new listener here, definitely going to become a regular after listening to the Donkey Kong Country episode. I'm 20, and up until this point, I had never played any Donkey Kong games. I was drawn to this one because I thought the art style was really cool, and I had heard good things about the game in general. Just finished the game tonight, and I gotta say, I was impressed by the game overall. I do have my nitpicks. For example, platforms are much smaller than they appear, finicky hitboxes, etc. But it was definitely a challenging platformer. I know this is sacrilegious to the purists out there, but I'm extremely grateful for the rewind feature on Switch. This game would have taken me ages to beat without it. Definitely going to attempt another run without using the rewind at some point, but for now, I think this game holds up pretty well, even by today's standards. Glad I found this podcast and hope you guys are staying safe during the pandemic. Matt." Thank you, Matt. We are, right? Mark, you're safe. I don't always check in with you and say, "Mark, are you safe?" But you're safe, right?
What if I was being held hostage for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I was just waiting for you to ask?
That's, I mean, I would be a bad friend, I guess.
Matt, yes, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for writing in. Do not feel bad about using the rewind feature. I use it all the time. And I got, when we were doing our retro month for SNES games, I used it constantly. And I wish all games had it. Like when I was playing New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, like I would instinctively press like long hold the L and R buttons to like try to bring it up. It doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Yeah, totally no shame in using the rewind function. A lot of these games are being developed in an era that's still like, built on like arcade sensibilities. The fact that a game over screen exists in any of those games is ridiculous. They want you to play to the end, right? Like you die and the punishment should just be that you have to try it again. Like who cares? And not that you have to like go back to the beginning and like play a level you already beat. Come on, get out of here with that. But yeah, good to know that it is holding up for someone who had no nostalgia for it whatsoever. And thank you for the listen. One other quick announcement before we get into the topic of the day, which of course is that we will be pitching Nintendo or paper versions of other Nintendo franchises that aren't just Mario. And this one is on theme. It is Paper Mario related. There is a Tetris Maximus this weekend. So from Friday through Monday, you'll be able to play the Paper Mario Origami King themed Tetris 99 game, and you can play it for until you get 100 points, and then you get the theme forever. I have a little bit of a history now of being able to accomplish that in one game. I'm gonna try to do it again.
We're all praying for you.
Thank you. And look, just don't forget to check it out. If you have Nintendo Switch Online, you have access to Tetris 99, and then you can try and get this cool theme. Okay, Mark, let's do it. Let's get into the topic of the week. Okay, so look, we know Paper Mario. That's a given, right? That's one that we know for sure. It exists. It's a series that exists. Nintendo took Mario and said, we're going to change its identity. We're going to change what the game is by adding a paper element to it. We're going to do that with other Nintendo franchises. But Mark, first, I think we need to establish what it is. Well, like what makes a Paper Mario game special? What are the identifying qualities of a Paper Mario game?
Yeah, especially because the series has changed a lot since it was on, I guess it was 20 years ago on the Nintendo 64. The first two games, Paper Mario and then Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, are like turn-based RPGs. And they have like companions, and those are like the things that are, sorry, the companions are usually like Mario archetypes or like character types that like a Yoshi or a Goomba or a Koopa, and then with some sort of twist on it. Like in Thousand Year Door, the young Yoshi is like has a punk aesthetic, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And but then later, as like the series has gone on, like it moved away from that turn-based combat system. It's been trying like new different combat systems. But so I feel like for me, the one thing that has really held true through all of it is like it is known for its like quality of writing and its sense of humor.
Yeah, I think a sense of humor, especially, we say that all of the Paper Mario games are well written, but that is almost exclusively like reserved for the humor in these games, right? Like they are not like grand epics, right? Like Mario is on, usually a quest to restore something, very seemingly trivial to
Mm-hmm.
the Mushroom Kingdom, right? And but it is always like good natured. It is always like fun. You're always traveling through a kingdom that is well populated with like different little peoples, and the villages are always like interesting and have like some sort of hook to them. So like for me, that's one of the, yes, the writing is excellent, but these are in no way story based games, right?
Right.
You're experiencing little vignettes, almost little like comedy sketches, right? Like your interactions with even a boss or like in a town can feel like, they identify the game, the one unusual thing, and then play it over and over again in all the funny ways that they can. And then you move on to the next area. I think also that like, you mentioned that the games have moved away from turn-based combat. I think that's only like partially true, right? Like Super Paper Mario is probably the one that is the least like turn-based. But even like Color Splash and Sticker Star, you are like waiting your turn to make your decisions. And it's just not like quite it's not like pure menu based combat, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's true. It's like such an interesting distinction. You're 100% right, because like even Origami King, it is 100% turn-based, right? It's not like an action game where everybody's attacking at once, and it is still menu-based. Like you solve the puzzle at the beginning to turn the
Mhm.
rings to like set the enemies in certain orders, but then you're choosing from your like available attacks or items, and you have like two or three options depending on how many like turns you were able to take, and then you go and then the enemies go, so it is completely still turn based.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, I think it's important to. I think the it moving away from like a turn-based tradition is like a commonly accepted narrative, and like I just wanted to push back on that a tiny bit. So I think also the physicality of paper, while not built into the like original Paper Mario and not Super the Thousand Year Door, even though like it still is there, but like the physicality of the paper and the paper characters has become more prominent in the more recent games. In the Wii U one, you are literally applying color. In Sticker Star, there are stickers, like the sticker is made of paper. Origami King obviously is dealing with origami folded paper. So I feel like that's something that we should also try to incorporate the physicality of paper into these game concepts.
I also think another kind of defining aspect is that these games take place in like a version of the Mushroom Kingdom, or they're like centered in the Mushroom Kingdom that we know, but you're going to places that you've never seen before, right? Like you're
Yeah.
going to new locations that are at best tangentially related to the Mushroom Kingdom, and sometimes like not related it to the Mario that we know at all.
Okay, all right. That's interesting, and I think that probably gives us our criteria, right? So these games are fun and funny and narrative, but not in like an epic, sweeping kind of way. They are turn-based combat systems. They utilize the physicality of paper, and they take place in the existing world of the characters, but in a way that expands on that world in a way we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense.
Great criteria. Okay. So, Mark, we have a list of how many Nintendo franchises here?
53.
53. And of course, we are using the term Nintendo franchise here pretty loosely. Almost anything that has representation in Super Smash Brothers is on our list here. And we are going to use a random number generator to pick our first game to pitch. Mark, are you ready?
I am ready.
The first number I'm generating on from 1 to 53 is 34.
Brain Age. Easing ourselves in with an easy one.
With an extremely tricky one, I think. Brain Age is tough because, it's not as though there are a lot of like characters or anything like that in there that we can use. There's no world of Brain Age, or anything like that. It's Dr.
Kawashima. And so
Kawashima.
Exactly. And so I think like in a Brain Age world, Dr. Kawashima, like if we're going to map things onto Paper Mario, right? Like or onto the Mushroom Kingdom. In a Brain Age world, I think Dr. Kawashima is probably our Mario-esque character. Like he's probably our playable character. And I think the equivalent of Toads is probably numbers, right? You use them in
I thought
Sudoku,
numbers
you use
too,
them, like,
yeah. You have to like see which numbers are red and then write that number.
And so I wonder but what about like the world? Like what world is Dr. Kawashima's brain training paper version exist
Right.
in?
So here's what I think I think it's a school, right? I think in some ways, because especially if we're gonna like still make it like a turn-based RPG, that this should really almost be like a parts of a Persona game, except you're playing as a teacher instead of a student.
And so maybe Fire Emblem Three Houses, where like Edelgard
sure.
is like the professor of a house, and so like same sort of thing where like you are set to the rhythms of a school day as paper Dr. Kawashima.
That's great. And okay, so like the gameplay would be that you are preparing your students for different athletic competitions. Sometimes it's mathletes, sometimes it's a debate club. It's all of those things. And so you have to
sometimes they want to do it all, so they're in like academic decathlon.
Look, we all know those kids, right? So you have to like assign them homework. You have to grade their homework. And sometimes, look, some of the kids have more fragile egos than others, and you have to kind of goose their grades a little bit, but not too much because you still want them to work hard.
And by kids, are we saying numbers? Is that what we like?
This is a great question. Are your students numbers? That may be too abstract, Mark.
Well, okay, I think that's fair. I think that, okay, talking about like Origami King style Paper Mario, that you would have Dr. Kawashima, Paper Dr. Kawashima. You would have the different students who each have like a different teenage archetype personality, right?
Yes.
You have your Wiccans, you have your like drama club kids, you have the people who like to play
Those
sports.
are the only two types. Those are the only two types.
Look, it's a Venn diagram, right? And some people are in the center, and they're like drama kids who also do like practice Wicca. But then like the toads that you're trying to collect in this game would be numbers.
Yeah, that's right. And there would be the numbers 0 through 9 hidden in every wing or like every classroom or whatever like the unique spaces are that you explore.
Who is the bad person in who's the villain of a paper brain training game?
That's tough.
Do you think it's like I hesitate to say it, but I
The
think
player? Because that's always how my brain training games ended. Was I was defeated by myself and just wanting to move on to something else.
Well, but I think it would be, I mean, yeah, I'm totally on board. It's the player, but I think it's the player's like brain age. Like I think the right like the goal of even a paper brain age series would be to lower somebody's brain age or to keep
Yeah.
working at it. And I think like the enemy is like the villain is like the player not wanting to train their brain anymore.
Yeah, so maybe we have to like come up with some physical manifestation of like brain atrophy, right? Something that is working against you to age the brains of the youth of tomorrow. The I guess they're the youth of today, but the adults of tomorrow?
The older brains of tomorrow.
Right. So the enemy is a giant old brain. That's what it is.
Could it and I know that this is crossing streams a little bit, but could it be in a like cameo appearance from another series? Could it be Mother Brain?
Could it also be Andross's brain from Star Fox? We don't know.
It could.
All right, this is good. I think our first paper brain age, an unqualified success. Mark, are you ready to encounter on our next to embark on our next game?
Let's do it.
Okay, from 152, random number generated is 4.
Star Fox. Speaking of Andross.
This one, geez, you would think that this would be pretty straightforward, right? Because like there's a lot of lore in Star Fox, right?
Yes, actually, a friend of the show, June, sent me a YouTube clip a couple weeks ago that somebody, like an artist, had made a fan made like trailer for what a paper Star Fox could be. That's up on
Whoa.
YouTube, and it's
Whoa.
super cute because like all of the characters have like really cute like animated like chibi versions of themselves, and so I'm gonna need you to take the lead here, Patrick, because otherwise I'm just gonna be talking about like that is the image of a paper Star Fox game in my head. That's all I'm gonna be talking about.
Well, so I mean, I think it would be tempting to try and just do like a full like system wide, where like you go to multiple planets and have to save something on each of the planets. And so I guess my central question here is, are we flying in Paper Star Fox? Like, are they in the R wings, or is it like turn-based combat on foot? Or
Mm-hmm.
do you know what I'm saying? Like how exactly to implement the turn-based combat portion of this? Or are you just doing it like, is it turn-based dogfighting somehow?
Right, because like the like prime version of Star Fox, I would say, is
Yes.
like Star Fox for the SNES and Star Fox 64, and they have no like ground sections. They're all just like you're just in the ship. You're on rails. You're in the ship.
Yeah.
I do think it would be interesting to find a way to incorporate that into the combat. I wonder if you almost do like a Starlink type thing where like the RPG-ish element of it is like gaining new like abilities for your ship. And that's like the equivalent of the stickers or like the badges from the earlier games.
I mean, this would, just based on the way that Star Fox looks, and like, one of the things that they've preserved even in the later Star Fox games is that the ships still look very like polygonal, and like, the shapes are still very like severe. If that also has an origami element to it too, that you are like getting the paper and like folding the ships yourselves, and you can like fold the paper into different ships, and like transform your ships in the middle of combat by like using a different origami method, or something like that.
No, yeah, oh, totally. I do wonder. So in the Star Fox games that I'm familiar with, and I qualify it because like this element might exist in some of the games that I'm not so familiar with. But like I feel like there's not really a toad like a race in Star Fox. Like there's no just like background characters, right? I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's just like the main characters, and those are the people that we know, and rarely do we just see like a city of like people going about their day, or Star Fox inhabitants going about their day. I don't know what the equivalent would be. I guess they're all just animals.
Yeah, yeah, and they're all just different kinds of animals. But that raises an interesting question because, like, one of the things with Mario, with Paper Mario, is that he sets out on a journey, and maybe this is something that we needed to dig into more when we were defining it. He sets out on a journey, but he doesn't set out on this journey with Luigi and the princess and Yoshi. Like, his allies are new allies, right?
Yeah.
So should the main character of this be Fox McCloud, and B, if it is, should he have the rest of Star Fox with him?
That's a great point. I mean, I think you would definitely encounter the rest of Star Fox.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Yeah, they're probably not the companions. Sidebar, do you think that the like frog species of Slippy Toad is the
Yes.
like toad equivalent?
Do I think that the toads are the toad equivalent? Yes. Yes, I do.
Fair. Yeah, so that's actually a really fun idea, because it's like, yeah, who else exists? Who else could exist in this like Star Fox universe that would be fun companions that we like haven't really seen before?
So here's a maybe a radical shift here is, instead of having Star Fox be the main character, maybe Falco is the main character. So that he can lead a band of, because I guess they're already sort of like mercenaries, right? Star Fox is already mercenaries. Like, they're not part of the Galactic Army or whatever it is.
Right. Are they not? I feel
I don't think they are.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, okay. Sure. Yeah, they're not. They're just they follow the wind.
Well, because at the end of Star Fox 64, General Pepper offers to like induct them into the army, and they're like, "No thanks, General."
Were they
Fox
at one point associated with it, or like some of them? Like, are they retired? Right. Well, we won't figure it out on air. I'll look it up later.
That's right. I think this should be centered around Falco, and maybe after he gets kicked out of Star Fox for being too much of a salty dog, right? That like no one wants to put up with his attitude anymore. So he puts together like a new band of mercenaries to like do stuff across the Lilat system. Picks up odd jobs.
Right. Yes, odd jobs, and I think maybe that solves all of our problems, right? Because we are no longer, it's not about space combat anymore, right?
Yes.
He's just trying to like make his way in the universe. And so he's just doing odd jobs. And so it's great. He's going from like planet to planet, and he's encountering like totally new species that we've never seen before. And like he has to do stuff like, work a roofing job for the summer.
Here's an idea. And then we'll have to come up with what this thing would be. But let's steal from the Mandalorian here. Let's put Falco out in the like reaches of space, where he's taking like odd jobs, and then has to protect like a baby Andros or something.
I think that's exactly what it would be, because my immediate thought was like, what's like old wrinkly in like the Star Fox universe, and it's 100% Andros. Yeah, for sure.
All right. That's great. I'm very excited for Paper Star Fox. Mark, are you ready to do another game?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. From on a scale of 1 to 51, the random number generator is giving us number 40.
Scroll down here. Ice climber.
Tough one.
Ice
climber.
How's this? We got ice. We got polar bears. We got like a pink and blue twins.
They have names, don't they? They're like, is it like Po and Na, or just Popo and Nana or something like that?
Yeah, let me look it up so that way we're getting this 100% correct. It's maybe Pepe, and Nana. Oh no! Sorry, that's in the German version. Popo and Nana.
Popo and Nana. Okay, yeah. I was either close or I don't remember what I said.
Popo and Nana is the correct answer.
So Popo and Nana, they wear parkas and they climb mountains. That's basically what we know about them, right? And they fight polar bears who wear like swim trunks and have sunglasses on, right?
Yep, and they're trying to I think they're trying to get stolen vegetables back from like
Yeah,
a
that's right.
bird.
Yeah, or like what's that flying dinosaur called? Pterodactyl.
Could be.
Okay. So maybe in this game all of the ice melts, right? They're up at the top of their mountain doing what they do. All of the ice melts and they have to travel back down to the valley to restore, winter to the mountain.
Yeah.
That's the story I'm pitching.
Yeah, 100%.
Brand new character, some kind of evil wizard down there who stole winter.
Yes.
What is there something is there some way to incorporate like the cold the element of cold, with Ice Climber and paper. Like,
well, here's
paper doesn't do anything when it gets cold.
No, but it does do stuff when it gets wet. And so that's, I think, like in like the sticker star, or I think also color splash, right? There's like this element of like a finite resource, right?
Yes.
And so what if we do something like we take that idea of the finite resource and we steal from the like Dead Rising series, the first two, where it's like you have a finite amount of time in which to like accomplish your tasks. And because it's like a Nintendo game, it'll be a little kinder. So it's like each area has its own timer, but it's like, look, you can only be out of the cold for so long. And so the longer that you're out there, like the weaker your attacks become, because like they're all of the winter has
because
turned
they're warming up.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I like this. So we're projecting a little bit of like a Mr. Freeze quality onto Popo and Nana, where they have to be in the cold. And look, they lack the technology to develop a suit that's going to keep them cybernetically cold all the time. So yeah, I love this. They always have to retreat back to their ice cave, cool down, and then come back out where they slowly warm up and get as much done as they can.
Also, I'm totally fine, like 100% fine, projecting this like backstory on Popo and Nana where like their parents have a terrible disease and so they have to be frozen all the time. So when this evil wizard like melts the ice caps of their world, it's very upsetting for them, obviously. So there's like high stakes to this game. It's not just that they've got to make the polar bears cold again. It's like, no, there are like people's lives at risk.
I love it. Also, as long as we're dealing with like melting ice caps, we may as well make the wizard, this evil wizard who's stealing winter, a metaphor for climate change. So his name is going to be like ExxonMobil or something.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. This is good.
It's good and it teaches us something. And I feel like
right.
You can't really do much better than that.
Also, I like the idea that, Mario in the Paper Mario games usually has a hammer. And these guys are going to carry that forward because they also carry a big hammer.
Oh, yeah, it's perfect. It's Kismet.
All right, wonderful. Mark, we are going to do another game. This is now 1 through 50. Let me delete Ice Climber. What number was that? 40? Something like that? Okay. Ice Climber has been removed. Now 1 through 50. The random number generator has given us number 22.
Ring Fit Adventure.
Ooh, this one's tough. Actually, these are all tough.
Okay, so Ring Fit Adventure, the game itself, right? Like the avatar you control is, of course, just like some dude or dudette of your choosing, because they're a player avatar, so they're just supposed to be yourself. But I wonder if maybe, and look, I haven't gotten far enough to find out if like the ring itself, which in the game like talks, will end up like transforming into a person or something, like in a Disney movie, because maybe that's how that game ends. But what if we do the like the dragon, the bad dragon instead? and say like
Yeah,
that
Drago.
Drago, that like the super buff dragon Drago is the main character of the game, but it's before he got super buff. It's before he
Yeah.
so like the so he's just like a normal dragon who like has yet to like learn about CrossFit.
This is adorable, by the way. Like I want to see this skinny, the scrawny little dragon, probably getting like bullied at school or something, and has to explore. It has to try to make his way in the world of Ring Fit Adventure, where everyone is talking about smoothies. Everyone is talking about like doing squats. Like everyone is so focused on fitness, and that just never appealed to him. And so this has to be like a story about him like discovering that like he needs to take care of himself.
Yes, and we're not just talking like 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 getting in shape or whatever. We're also talking like we're not talking about physical health. We're also talking about like, dude, you've got to take a shower. Dude, deodorant is like a must do.
Yeah. Well, and also like, look, at the end of the school day, don't just go home and watch reruns of The Simpsons. Like go out and socialize, meet people, read a book, like these are all things that you need to be doing to make yourself a more well-rounded individual.
Yes, absolutely. And so I guess the question is like, what is the ultimate goal? Like, what is he like headed towards? Is it an event? Is it prom? Is it meeting like like his mom's getting married to like a new guy, and so he's got to figure out where he like fits in?
He's got to impress his new stepdad is what it is.
Well, he's got to impress his new stepdad, or
No,
he's
well,
just
he
got
did-
to like
okay,
he's
yes.
just got to like become like a well-rounded individual with the confidence to go to the wedding and know that the important thing is his mom being happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's good. So the ending sequence is his is his mother's wedding,
Yes.
right? And you have to get through that. You have to hang out with your aunts and uncles that you don't see very often.
And I cannot stress enough that the main character of this game is like a skinny dragon, still wearing a singlet, because that's just what people wear in this world. Still wearing the singlet. That's just what people wear in this world.
Great point. And he has to get through. He has to get through the ceremony. He has to get through the reception. He probably has to do a dance on the dance floor.
He 100% has to do a dance because like his stepdad is like, of course you're going to be like a groomsman, and we've all been coordinating like this dance to Backstreet Boys, and you're going to be performing in it because I love you.
So does this game use the RingCon? I think it does.
I think it does.
I think this is going to be another RingCon game, and I think it's so in all of these things you'll still have to. It's still going to be like turn based again, much like Ring Fit Adventure. But in all of Drago's activities, you're going to be like enacting them in the RingCon in one form or another.
Yep.
And so you'd be using it to dance at the end. It all makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah, 100%, absolutely. Who do you think his like friends are? Like, who else populates the world?
Yeah, I would say probably other like mythological monsters, right? That could one day grow up to be super buff. I don't really like the like enemies in Ring Fit Adventure, like to be, like I don't want like some one-eyed frog thing. I want his friends to be like a minotaur, a sphinx, a manticore. Like let's go back to like the classics here and get like some really messed up like mythological classical monsters in there.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, Mark, you want to do another one?
Yeah, let's do another one.
Okay, now on 1 to 49 is what I'm doing now. Okay, the number is 48. Oh, and I haven't actually deleted Ring Fit from our list yet, so we're looking at the wrong one right now. Mark, don't look yet. 48, unfortunately, is Persona. Now, I did put a question mark next to this because, well, Persona 5 is represented in Super Smash Brothers. There are no mainline Persona games on Nintendo systems. Should we throw this one out?
I think so. I do think we need to throw it out. We should probably explain that the reason it's on this list at all is because it's in Super
Yes.
Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yes, that's right. So it's there, but also we kind of already burned the Persona idea on brain training.
Yeah, like why kid ourselves? Like that is the Persona game. So
That's right. Okay, so now on a 1 to 48, the new random number generated is number 3. Number 3
Metroid
is
Prime.
very good. Metroid Prime, very fertile ground for storytelling. I think one of the big challenges here will be finding a way to make it cute.
Yeah, I think so too. Although I'm feeling like Samus Aran should still be our main character of this game.
I do too. I think it's look, they don't often try to take us away from Samus. In fact, I think the only Metroid game that does is Federation Force, right?
I think so.
And I don't think anyone cares for that. I think actually this may be one where we have to ditch the cuteness of the paper aesthetic and go for something a little different. Like maybe everyone is still like drawn and still like animated on like a paper background, but instead of being like cute cartoon characters, they look more like Jim Lee drawings or something.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't want to lose like the humor of the series. I don't know that it necessarily has to be like super cute.
Yeah.
But I do think like humor is like a really important part of it. And I would like to see the companions be, like in the Paper Mario series, we've seen like Goombas, like Koopas, like all that kind of stuff. And I would like to see it be Metroids. Like, I think Metroids should talk and have personality. And I'd love to see like Metroids, wearing like a newsboy cap and carrying like a saddle, like a messenger bag, like all that kind of stuff, And let's, how about we set it in the like early to mid 2000s?
Okay. What do you mean?
Like
on Earth?
Yeah.
What do you
exactly. Early to mid 2000s, people have like turned up collars. They're wearing like 2 layers of t-shirts.
Okay.
That is kind of like the Avril Lavigne like mall punk aesthetic is what I'm imagining for Samus Aran in this paper Metroid series.
Sure. So it's sort of a like a are we doing like a high school AU here? Like is this an alternate universe where Samus is in high school with Metroids and like the other look, Samus, as we know, has a good relationship with animals, right?
Right.
There's that like green ostrich thing. There are those like little green monkey guys that like help her to bounce off the walls. And I understand we're talking about Metroid Prime and I'm just using examples from Super Metroid. It doesn't matter. But that those can be her classmates in this alternate universe. I like you're pitching a like Avril Lavigne type that like Samus is like kind of a moody like goth girl.
Right, because like she's going to be an awesome bounty hunter, but she's not necessarily like a bounty hunter as we know her yet. So I would say let's take this out of the school and maybe she is actually just like at a mall, right? It's summer. She's working her like summer job and the different like worlds that you're traveling to are like a department store, the movie theater,
the food court,
and like because that's the perfect place to meet like different like NPCs or different companions.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So what is the combat like in this game? So obviously, we want to bring in like some element of turn-based combat. Oh, well, actually, wait. But before we get to that, I know I said like Jim Lee drawings, but maybe this is more like high school doodles in like a notebook or something. That like that's the visual style.
Mm-hmm. That'd be really fun.
Yeah. So the combat then like this environment is a little bit weird to be introducing like ice beams and stuff like that. Like what are how are we incorporating that here?
I do think like that's like an important part, right? Is you have the of Metroid in general is like this idea. And so I wonder if maybe like it is a mall and it is summer and she is like of that time, but there's a bigger like outside event that is causing right, so like the people that she's like in combat with are some sort of invading force that would cause because like it is Earth, but it doesn't have to be our Earth. So maybe like people
it's
are
got
equipped
Metroids
with, like,
on it, so right.
So maybe like people are equipped with like ice beams and stuff. Like that's just a normal thing for people to have, like laser pointers.
What if instead of like we can even make Samus a little bit younger here instead of being like a high school sort of scenario, maybe it's more like a water gun war kind of situation. Where like the different upgrades are like different types of water guns. Someone has a super soaker, someone is just like staked out by the hose. You can get water balloons and stuff like that, and all of those are like mapped onto the ice beam, the plasma beam, the power bomb, all that sort of stuff.
Yep, totally. But it's just important to me that whatever the age, that she has a best friend that's a Metroid and who is super into her but can't like work up the courage to say anything.
That's amazing. I love it. All right, Mark. You teased me about having something insightful to say about Zelda, so I would like to now not do a random number generator and just do a paper Zelda game.
So I hesitate to say that it's insightful, but when I was thinking of different scenarios that might come up.
Sorry, I built it up too much. my bad.
It's different scenarios to talk about in this episode. One of the things I was thinking about was like, do you think that Link's Awakening basically has like the tone, like if you just took the story and the dialogue and the NPCs and everything from Link's Awakening, that's basically what you would want from like a paper Zelda series? Like, yes,
Absolutely,
the aesthetic
yeah.
would change and maybe the combat would be a little bit different, but basically I feel like the bones of a paper Zelda game are right there in Link's Awakening.
Yeah, well, I mean that is 100% right. So I think what you're saying is Nintendo has done the work for us and already made a paper Zelda game, and they did it back in like 1993 or something.
Yeah, I mean it has like a lot of the things that we associate and love about the Paper Mario series is like, oh, we're taking like enemies from different games, but they have a spin on them or like some surprising personality. Like I think of the Bow Wow in Link's Awakening and just like all that kind of stuff.
With the bow in her hair.
Yeah, and like that's like something that would continue to return in the Mario series at large, but all of that was done in like Link's Awakening.
Yeah, that's really smart. And also just like thinking about the way that the Link's Awakening remake like plays into the cuteness of that world, right? Or like articulates it in a way, not in a specifically paper way. They use more of like the diorama aesthetic.
But definitely crafted, like definitely like crafty
totally.
for sure.
And definitely like leaning into the physical aspect, like if everything feels like it's real. And maybe like craft isn't totally right, but like you look at the leaves and like they feel like they're like vinyl or plastic or something like that. Yeah, that's good, Mark. I really like that. And I like that we don't have to come up with anything for it. All right, so those are just some paper Nintendo franchises that we came up with, but I'd love to hear everyone else's ideas on what could make a cool paper franchise for Nintendo. So if you have a good one that you'd like us to talk about, please write into us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Or you can tweet at us at NinCart Society. We get messages there too. All right, Mark, let's close this out. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you like this episode, please share it on Facebook or Twitter, or write it on a little note and fold that note up into a swan and present it to someone because it's origami and the topic is Paper Mario. I'll keep going. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at NinCart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.
Hey, Rachel, Oscar.
Yeah, Claire?
Do you love Disney movies?
Uh-huh.
Have you seen them all?
Not all of them.
What do you guys think if we watch them all in chronological order and then talk about them?
Ooh. Oh, and what if we can talk about it with some of our favorite friends?
I love that.
Yeah, what if we do it inside the Disney Vault?
You know, that's the name of our podcast, Inside the Disney Vault on Campfire Media.
Yeah, check us out on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to yours.
That's Inside the Disney Vault.
Let's go!
Woo!
Campfire.